Welcome back to another episode of Drink Tales. And today we are celebrating Negroni Week. Now, for those of you that are not informed, Negroni Week was put together back in 2013 and is a collaboration between Imbibe magazine and Campari. And all the proceeds and stuff that they get from the celebration this week goes to different charities and organizations. Negroni is a cocktail made with Campari. So basically this is a week-long celebration celebrating the cocktail. Now this year, because of the coronavirus situation, they are not allowed to hold this celebration in person. But that's okay because they went digital. And you know what? We're already digital, so it's like we were celebrating it from the beginning. So what we're gonna do is, anybody can make a Negroni.
Exactly, which is what we're gonna do today.
Yeah, including us. We're gonna make some Negronis. But what we're also going to do is, it's the middle of the month as well. It's time for another episode of Tasting Notes. We are going to put together foods to eat with a Negroni.
It's almost like Imbibe and Campari was like, we should line this up with what they do every month.
It was, even though they did it like a few years before this show existed. Mm-hmm. But whatever. So let's get it started. So taking a look at the board today, we got a lot of different stuff going on here.
So while you're doing that,
mm-hmm.
I'm going to make the drinks,
mm-hmm.
so we can't have Campari advertised in front of the screen like this right now.
Mm-hmm.
But the drink will advertise the Campari itself.
All right.
So while you're doing that and explaining to me what all of these meats and stuff do, I'll make the drinks.
Okay. So you can make Negronis in different ways. The Negroni we're making today is more of a traditional Negroni, mm-hmm. and as such, I have matched the foods that you see here today with what a traditional Negroni requires taste-wise. There are a couple of outliers though. For one, usually with the Negroni like this, since we're using like a dry gin, this Negroni is going to be more suitable for salty meats, pickled things of that nature, and some breads, more like rye bread, so to speak. And that's what you see here on the table. Starting over in the corner right here with the gherkin. I could have gone with the olives. We do olives a lot. I wanted to switch it up. I went with the gherkin. Gherkins are really good. They're like tiny pickles, but in my opinion, they taste better. And they're salty. They're pickled. They go well with the Negroni and how this traditional Negroni drowns it out. Well, not necessarily drown it out, but it matches the saltiness. The same with our meats here. Now we have Prosciutto di Parma right here.
I'm just gonna put this right here.
All right. And we also have Felino salami. Both of those very flavorful. I could have gone for a couple of more meats, but these were the two that I saw that I really wanted to stand out for today. Now, I know you see not a loaf, but I know you see a piece of bread here and you're like, so what, just a piece of bread right here? This is a sourdough rye. In a normal instance, if you're doing a charcuterie board for, say, company or whatever, if you're gonna do sourdough rye, I would go in the more artisanal route. I went with a loaf of bread because I figured with the two meats that I was going with, it would be best to pair them up with. You have more meat, more bread. You can even cut it in half and share with your significant other or whoever you're dining with. Heading over to the nuts that you see on the table, we've got roasted almonds and we've got
Pistachio.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I wanted to call them almonds again.
Almonds are good. I can understand that, but those are pistachios.
We've got roasted almonds. We got roasted We've got roasted almonds, and we got roasted pistachios. Both of them salty. Once again, I went with, the theme here is salty and meaty, and with the meats a little bit fatty.
I hate to interrupt, but it appears that this bottle of gin doesn't want to cooperate with me. Could you lend your strength to get that cork off of the bottle?
Okay. No, I cannot. Actually, yes, I can. There we go.
Thank you very much.
Back to our regularly scheduled.
Today's gin that will not participate was St. George Spirits. The
St. George coming out of California, I believe.
the dry rye. So you guys remember that when you want to make your Negroni and you want to make this type of Negroni, to pick up this gin, but keep in mind the bottle is disobedient and the cork will not come off when you want it to.
So what you need to do is the morning of the day that you decide you're gonna have a Negroni, you should do some curls, maybe some chest presses, get that gym workout in so that it won't be so hard. But getting back to our board here, now we have two outliers here. Now, normally you would use cheeses in a more sweet Negroni, but these two cheeses in particular I went with because I thought they matched well with the meats that are on here. And of course I'm talking about returning reigning champ smoked Gouda, and we're also going with a new competitor, Manchego. I think that's how you say those. Both of those, by the way, I love smoked Gouda. Tastes really great. Manchego tastes great too. Manchego's more subtle. You can eat it with the salami. You can put it on the bread with the salami. Goes great. I thought that their flavors in particular, especially the smoked Gouda, matches well with the meats, like I said before. And goes well with all the salty things on the table. And that's pretty much it. We're done just in time. The Negronis are out.
Now I do have a question or two. Noticing there's not any fruits or anything that leans sweet. Is there a reason for that specifically?
I would have done that on a sweeter Negroni, but in today's case, since we were doing a traditional Negroni, I didn't go with any fruits or things of that nature.
Okay.
And all of the stuff that I pulled here today, I did research online. I believe I came across an article. The article in question I used to help me with this in particular really laid out like the meaning of eating a lot of this stuff with your Negroni. The Italian terms for it and what it means, things of that nature. Very informative. I'll link the article into below the video so that you guys can look at it as well. There were other things that you could match with other different Negronis, even different gins to use with the Negronis. Not just St. George. We went with St. George today, literally based off that article. But I like that article the most because a lot of other things, when you're doing research and stuff like that, a lot of stuff will give you maybe basic information, but
they're not as detailed as
exactly. This article was detailed and honest.
I saw the article in question that you were talking about, and I would have to recommend it too. Not only did they give the type of gins down to a T and where they come from and everything, but also they talked about the different not the Campari, but the other thing, the sweet vermouth. And not gonna lie to you, that article being a few years old, some of that stuff may be difficult to find. I mean, maybe I'm dumb. You guys tell me, but I wasn't really sure that we were gonna find the St. George gin.
I was sure because I had seen St. George several times, so I knew exactly where to go get it. So that's how we ended up finding it in the first place. But with that said, we are going to taste all of this stuff, drink the Negroni. It's your first time making a Negroni on the channel.
First time ever having one too.
Pretty good. I see why that salt goes with them.
Because there's a bitter component. Which, depending on what type of person you are and what your flavor palette is, you may not like all the bitterness that this drink can put out. You can adjust the specs of the Negroni. If in case anybody doesn't know, ingredients of the Negroni, you have the Campari, you have your gin, you have your sweet vermouth. Now,
What kind of sweet vermouth did you use today?
Gallo
Okay.
is what it's called. We've had this for years. It's coming out of Modesto, California.
Oh wow, California
So-
representing today.
So yeah, we putting y'all on blast because y'all made some top-notch ingredients for this particular drink. But you have all of those. The specs of the recipe is equal parts of each. So it's an ounce of Campari, an ounce of gin, an ounce of your sweet vermouth. But I also realized that damn, that's good. I also realized that the flavor profile that those measurements create can be problematic for people who don't like it leaning either too sweet or too bitter for them. So from what I've seen of recipes and from YouTubers and whatnot, they adjust those measurements to either include more or less of something. Most likely the Campari and the vermouth. That is what you would be adjusting. Ooh, excuse me. This, however, I'm fine with the amount of bitterness that's in there. I could go a little bit less on the Campari, but in all honesty,
bitterness is coming from the Campari, or is it coming from the vermouth? I'd say it's perfect. It's just bitter enough. It's just sweet enough. You know, like I'm taking a piece of salami, putting it in my mouth, and tasting it up against the Negroni, and the salami's saltiness cancels out the bitterness.
Like I said, I could go a little less on the Campari. I wouldn't really want to though, just to be true to the drink. Because like I said, the amount of bitterness in this drink doesn't really bother me at all.
Well, with that said,
Oh no, I got one more thing to say. Campari. We went to several liquor stores to hunt this down because we were told by our usual liquor store that you guys are having a shortage of Campari.
I hope you guys are doing all right, because on the Negroni week, that's not a good look. But I'm sure. I mean, I don't know what's up, but we found Campari.
Yeah, we lucked out and found Campari in a dank corner of the liquor store community. But you know, I don't want to have to pull you guys into the garage like we did with the Rock last week. He will not get down to the case of where is all of the Terramana. So, you know, and I realize, you know, there's a pandemic, so, you know, maybe that may be the cause.
And that's what I interpreted as, that there's a pandemic, so.
But still, get on that.
I'd also interpret that People knew Negroni week was coming up, so they bought the shit out of this campfire.
To which I have to say to everybody else, hey, that's greedy. 10 out of 10, would recommend, would drink again.
Same here. All right, that'll do it for this episode of Drink Tales. Be sure to like, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell so that you are aware of all content coming to the channel. Check us out on Twitter. Check us out on Instagram, of course. And until next time, everyone, peace.